All right. Good afternoon or good evening. This is Coach Smith. Love the game 24/7. We're back live. I've been away for a minute. Um, Missed you guys. I didn't do my normal Wednesday night or Saturday. I was out of town visiting with my grandbaby. Some of you all may have seen my TikTok that I've shared with the grandbaby out with my son doing some workout, some training, and it's gotten quite a few views. Probably I think almost 20,000 views. But that's where Coach Smith would Love the Game 24/7 has been. I'm live on IG on Love the Game 24_7. I'm live on YouTube, Love the Game 24/7, and Facebook. So I appreciate you guys tapping in tonight for a little bit. Won't be long, but there's a lot going on. So be sure you hit that subscribe button on my YouTube and subscribe to Love the Game 24/7 on YouTube. Be sure you follow me on Love the Game 24/7 um, on um, on Instagram, but you can also get to all my social media platforms um, at Linktree for Love the Game 24/7. So, but be sure, guys, you share about what Love the Game 24/7 podcast is doing and helping with student athletes or young athletes from middle school on up to high school age to help them with the recruiting process. That's what we're all about here, giving some great information and insight, doing interviews. I'm in the process of getting some interviews set up as well. Um, but definitely want to keep this thing moving, keep it rolling, keep the excitement going because we're the school year, academic year is winding down. Some of the athletics are going on, which are baseball, softball, of course, basketball, March Madness. We're into carrying over into April Madness with all the things that are going on, all the excitement with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, two of the NCAA stars of women's collegiate athletics, basketball. We got that going on. We have the men's going on. There's a lot happening. Got both. I'm here in North Carolina, and both NC State men's and women's basketball programs are in the Final Four, which is exciting for my North Carolinians here. And so it's exciting to be here and enjoying all the excitement with March Madness carrying over here into April. And as I said, the academic year is winding down, and so there's some things going to be happening with you young athletes that you need to be preparing for this summer with camps to help you get exposure with your recruiting. And we have to start that as early as possible with our young athletes. But there's a few things I just want to hit on tonight. Really didn't have too much, but just some things going on. But definitely, we want to talk about the women's NCAA basketball and all the excitement. I don't think it's surpassed the men, of course, but it has evolved. It has caught my attention years ago watching women's basketball before all this, where we are now with it, and it's exciting to see the growth of the marketing of the women's game and seeing the talent and the trash talk. And it's just interesting, that you hear, people got an attitude or, some people have a lot to say. I know there's a lot of people who probably never even played the game at, at a high level. And there may be some that have, but I don't think most who make the comments have played at that level. Maybe didn't have the opportunity for whatever reason. Who knows? I don't know, but it's just sometimes disheartening. It's sports, guys. Um, it's it's sports. It's trash talk. We do trash talk. I I had friends that I grew up with playing little league sports with, and then when it got to high school and some of us were split up and went to different directions, with playing sports in high school and even in college, but we trash talk. That's trash talking is all a part of it. Doesn't mean I don't have to hate somebody to do my trash talking. It's competition. It's the heat of the moment. We're gonna trash talk. As long as you don't cross the line and be disrespectful, you're gonna trash talk. You're gonna talk about how weak somebody's game is, even though it may not even be weak, but you're gonna say it anyway because it's trash talk. because you want to get in someone's head, especially when you beat them. Whether you making shots or maybe you run over a guy. I was always a little smaller guy, but I had a lot of heart and had I was strong, I was quick, I was fast. And if I ran over a guy that I know was bigger than me because I was able to break his ankle, and that's just a term, not necessarily literally breaking someone's ankle, but we know the term when you really shake somebody or you juke someone. We say, "Oh man, I juked you out of your shorts because you couldn't catch me because you weren't quick enough or you wasn't as agile, right, or skilled enough to make that play at the time." Doesn't mean the person can't make plays, but there are times that I knew because I was a little guy, I got to make sure, guys know that I'm not scared or that, I got heart or that I will run you over. Even though I'm a little guy, I'm gonna run you over. And how I did that was using my skill set. I would shake or juke, make moves so I can get a guy off balance, and then I'll have the opportunity to run him over. And there are times where I wasn't able to do that, and I still had, the ability because of the strength of my legs, because of how I trained and how I worked out. I knew I was strong enough just because I didn't carry the weight, but I knew if I had the momentum with the speed and the quickness and catch a guy, off where I'm not gonna, allow myself to take unnecessary blows as a running back or receiver. So I'm gonna bring it to you first, right? I got to beat you to the punch, and most times I did. There are times I didn't. Wasn't many though, because that's just the talent and gift that I was blessed with, and I used it. And you have to use your gifts and talents. But it's just ridiculous sometimes when you hear people, want to say things about Angel Reese or even Caitlin Clark, or they want to get on this color thing, all this different things. Man, there's good athletes no matter what color you are if you put in the work. Okay. And granted, we all have some prejudices that we grew up with because of lack of information, lack of knowledge, or because you may not have grown up around um, uh, a certain group of people. Like I said, when I went off to college to Iowa, some of my white teammates who were from Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota didn't grow up around African Americans, right? Because not many of us are up north in the cold weather. Let's just be honest and be realistic. It's not. That's the truth. It's facts. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So they didn't grow up. Some of my teammates, first time seeing a person of color was when they came to college. And that's cool. That's just the way things are. So, but they, got the experience. You know, I grew up in South Florida. There wasn't too many fast white guys or white girls that I grew up to be able to see. But when I got to Iowa and went to college, and saw just how um, one thing that I can say about Iowa, where I went to college, they are serious about track and field, and that threw me because I'm like, here I'm way up here in this cold climate. How are they that serious about track and field? And Iowa is a state that's serious about track and field. Nebraska, there was some kids, and because like I said, I didn't grow up around many white athletes who had speed, but definitely when I got to college, I saw some fast white guys and some fast white girls, and it was a culture shock, but it was fun. It was exciting to see. You know, you sometimes you hear things, people say things, and you grow up with all these fallacies and lies and things that people say and tell. When you commit yourself to training, no matter who you are, appreciate you joining me, guys, on Instagram and IG and Facebook. But we have to cut this foolishness out, man. If you're an athlete, I don't care what color you are, you put the work in, hey, you're gonna have some success, right? Kevin Little, okay, one of the fastest white guys I've seen, one of when I was in college at Drake University. World class sprinter back doing when Michael Johnson. Okay, and then there was another kid that I saw from Texas that was like had the fastest 100-meter time in the world. I think it was like my sophomore, junior year in college, from University of Texas, running at the Drake relays. So we got to stop all this stuff, like Caitlin Clark, because she's a white girl and she can shoot. Like that's shocking and surprising. No, it's not. Shut all that foolishness down. No, it's not surprising. She puts in work, right? You know, so let's cut all this stuff out. She puts in the work. She's having some success that she greatly deserves. She balled out. Don't care about because the team was predominantly black, everybody, because LSU is a predominantly black team doesn't mean they're going to be able to beat everybody. That's we got to stop all the lies and the fallacies and all that stuff. LSU is a great team because of the work they put in. They didn't win a championship, by happenstance. No, Kim Mulkey, whether you love her or hate her, she's a good coach. Everybody makes some bad decisions. I don't think she did a great job coaching and using that to help give the girls an opportunity. And that's my opinion. Don't mean I'm right or wrong. But Caitlin Clark stood on business and does what she did. She took advantage of the mismatch of the situation, like she should, right? So we gotta stop all this stuff. Like I said, most of the people that I see comments, it's obvious to me that they're fans, and we appreciate you as a fan, right? We can't do it without having fans, absolutely, right? Whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's just people who love the game. Like I said, whether you're a participant of it or not. Um, but it's obvious sometimes when I see some comments, and I like to read some of the comments on some of these posts sometimes because it just, helps you realize like, and you have to teach, like I said, I'm here to help young athletes. We have to teach them. You can't listen to all that nonsense, right? Don't get caught up in comments and all that stuff, right? But if you're gonna, we have to teach our young athletes that if you're gonna go into certain things, whatever careers, whether it's athletics or whatever, and you're blessed to get to you know, a level of playing college sports, whether you male or female, and whether you get the chance to go to the pro level. I mean, you're going to have people who just talk nonsense, okay? And in most cases, they're not somebody who really knows the game. They're just fans of the game. You know, um, we appreciate the fact that they love the game and that they watch it. And, absolutely. But we have to protect kids' mental, um, uh, you know, um, from getting themselves, listening to the chirping of people who really don't know the game like they do or have put that work in or coach the game. Okay. So we have to be sure we protect our young people. But if you're going to go into this type of work, you're going to have that, right? It is what it is. It's the world we live in. It's always been here. It's nothing new. Okay. And so we just have to prepare, our young people for what to listen to and what not to listen to. Okay, you're gonna have people who are gonna appreciate you putting in work and doing what you need to do. Just be sure you stay humble. And just cause you're humble don't mean you can't be a beast. Okay, but we trash talk. Everybody want to make a big deal about the Angel Reese thing. Well, Caitlin Clark did it all the girls, and I appreciate both those young ladies saying the things that they say and coming out and just um, putting the fire out with all that foolishness because they're both of them are, and all these ladies are great competitors. And it's good to see the women getting acknowledged for being dogs or dogettes, whatever we want to call them. I love it, right? Because I've seen some girls that I grew up with that were great athletes that could have gotten that I wish were able to be in this time, getting the publicity and the focus and attention on women's athletics like we're getting today. And the girls are just like, like I've said to people, you got camps, you got all this competition, and it's just helping the game grow, whether it's lacrosse, which I love watching, lacrosse. I enjoy seeing the women's lacrosse, Boston College play. Every chance I get, if I can catch it, I look at it, as well as, whoever they're playing. And I know it's, that sport, it has grown quite a bit in Florida. Um, I remember as a kid growing up how the teams from up here up north in the Northeast would come down during spring break or whenever they would come down wintertime because it was warmer in Florida for them to train to get ready for their season. So it would be, when our football season ended, you would see a lot of the lacrosse players coming down to Florida from wherever they came from, and they would be using our football fields to train. So that sport has definitely grown in the years that um, and probably in the last 10 to 15 years in Florida, where they have it's part of our athletics now, right? To help kids get scholarships. That wasn't the case when I grew up. Okay. It started out as club, I think, when little Jeff and my son Zach were in high school. But the game has grown tremendously in the South, and more kids are playing it. Just like we have girls flag football, and we also now have, maybe what, not quite, maybe 10 years ago we had beach volleyball as a scholarship in some colleges that have beach volleyball. So there's some girls that play beach volleyball that don't play, you know, the volleyball inside. Okay, but it's great that there are more opportunities for young ladies who and young men who want to play beach volleyball, but you know, um, or they can play both. I've seen that happen, but we just have to cut out all this this chattering and trying to make things out to be, something that's not really anything. And like, um, there's something wrong with women's sports where they trash talk. They're athletes, they're competitors. Okay, and in a lot of cases, those women who have been able to play at a high level, most of these women who play at a high level in their game grew up playing against the boys, and that's why some of them are so good because they were able to get on the court, whether it's volleyball, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, and they're good at, it's helped them elevate their game. Nicole Tunsil, who's the head basketball coach back at our high school, our alma mater, Lakewood High School in St. Petersburg, Florida, doing great things. She played at the pro level overseas. Nicole always played with us when we were growing up. Nicole always played with the boys. So when she got on the court with the girls, she was way ahead. Her competitive, you know, um, juices were um, a lot stronger than most, that she played against. And she was, all state, all American, all those good things, and in multiple sports. And that's because she would be out there early in the morning since middle school. Probably even late elementary. But I know in middle school, we went to middle school together and high school together, and she always played ball with the boys because she could handle her own in a lot of cases, right? And it made her uh, be very successful. So I just want to touch on that. I just hate that sometimes I don't want to say hate, but it's just disappointing, I should say, when people want to do so, make so many comments. And it's like, I want to ask some of them, where did you play? How far did you go? Were you just as committed as these young ladies are, as, pouring their heart out, right? And entertaining us, right? And because that's what it's about. It's entertainment. And so let's keep it as such. Okay. And we know that sports can be a microcosm of what's going on in our society in a lot of cases, but for the most part, sports shows us how people from different backgrounds, different races, different cultures can come together for one common cause as teammates or in a sport to help it grow, to help it evolve, to help it become more popular, to help it become more, people view it more. Then that's what they should do. And it's great that the women are doing that. And I'm excited for it. And I'm going to be right in front of my TV watching it. I watch softball, I watch some of the baseball, college sports. I watch it all because I'm just a sports, lover, plain and simple. And I'm a former little league baller. I'm a former high school baller. I'm a former college baller in track and field, and I'm a former professional athlete who had the opportunity to play. And so I've been there and had that opportunity, blessed to be able to do it. And thankful I was able to do it. Grateful, appreciative. I thank God that I had the opportunity. I thank God that I had that drive to want to go to the next level and put the work in. And I want to help share that with the young people today and parents, to help us prepare our young people. But we got to be sure we teach them, stop listening to the noise out there. Okay. Stop listening to the noise. You're always going to have that. Now, if it's some of that noise going to help you elevate, and when you go play and compete against somebody who's been running their mouth about you on social media and you beat their team, that's great stuff too. To be able to, say, hey, to that fan that has been giving you been chirping to you on social media, you can always go back and rub it in their face because it's love, right, for the game. It's not personal. It's the fun of sports. It's the fun of competition. You know, sports is not war, right? Even though we might use some war terms sometimes, sports is not war. It's competition, and we all want to, excel and do well. There are guys I talk trash to, and after the game, man, we dap it up. You know, we talk. Oh yeah, man, I heard you talking trash out there when you was running. Like, yeah, I ran you over or whatever the case is, or I beat you on that route, right? Or I picked it off, or whatever the case. We talk trash to each other, and it's to bring the best out of us, out of each other. Because I don't want a game where it's just so easy. I want to compete, right? You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, right? And then you got to go put some work in to get better. And sometimes you realize, oh man, I didn't play like I should have played for whatever reason. You know, Sometimes there are things going on in our lives outside of the sport that sometimes can affect us, that causes us maybe not to perform up to a certain level. But for the most part, athletes know how to um, separate, that, right? So I just want to, share that a little bit. Man, it's exciting about where the women's sports is going in general, where more and more people are viewing it. Um, like I said, I've learned to watch some of that lacrosse when my son was at Boston College, and it sucked me in. I still don't know all the rules, but I learn more and more every time I watch it, and it makes it even more exciting. And when you see women make some plays that you don't think women are capable of, it helps wake you up and realize, no, some of these women can straight up ball, can compete and play. It's like, man, you better get that out your head thinking that these young ladies can't do some of this stuff. And it's exciting, to like, man, a girl can do that. Yeah, a girl that absolutely. You know, watch it long enough, and you will see that they can do some things, right? And it's exciting to see that competition being met, with these girls today. And it's exciting, to see, and I'm just loving it. And but let's just keep it. Let's just keep it what it is, guys. It's sports, it's competition, it's about fun. We trash talk. Um, Players don't have to hate each other. I know there in some cases there is some hate depending upon you've been with a certain school for a certain period of time, or you from this part of town or this part of whatever the case may be. Sometimes there is things even as athletes we can go overboard, but for the most part, you know coaches keep that stuff at bay and respect the game. But yeah, everybody we all have our moments where we feel like some coaches or some players can be jerks or this or that and whatnot. But man, after you get to know somebody, and you end up going to school with somebody that you played against, and you get to know that person, you be like, man, they really weren't that bad of a guy. I thought it was just, guys would tell you, man, I was just competing, man, trying to get in your head. I was just saying stuff because, man, you were balling, or you tell that guy, man, you were straight balling, and we were trying to do whatever we can to slow you down from killing us. um, but that's just the love, like I said, love of the game, 24/7, man. That's what it's all about. And these are young ladies, and let's be respectful. Okay, they're human. Just because they're high level, talented athletes, male or female, people are human, and you need to be respectful um, of what you say and how you say certain things, and stop trying to make things out to be something that is not, because they trash talk. Those two young ladies have been the face of women's sports in general, but definitely of women's college basketball, and taking it to another level. And hopefully, when they go to the WNBA, along with several other women that are out there, like Juju and some others that are out there that are balling, they'll be the face of what's coming, and take the WNBA and other sports, women's sports, to another level. So that's going to be exciting to watch over these next several years how this thing goes. Um, Other thing I just want to touch on is, hey, like I said, the school year is about to come to an end here soon. We probably got another month or two for school to be let out, and you parents out there, you athletes out there, got to decide. You need to be deciding on where you're going to camps. Start narrowing that stuff down. Start getting on the websites and filling out questionnaires for these colleges. Um, Also, remember, there's nothing wrong with you. You need to have a variety of schools, not just Division 1, not just FCS. Potentially maybe some Division 2 schools, right? One or two that you may want to go to. But if you're an athlete that's getting some attention from some Division 1 schools and some FCS schools, you're going to get you're going to get attention from Division II schools, right? But one thing I definitely want to help remind some of our high school coaches, that may be listening to this live or recording. Let's be careful that you aren't trying to tell a kid what level that they um, um, can play at, right? I don't think that's the high school coach's place. I think it's your place to be realistic, and you tell a kid, I don't, you know, that you need to go to some camps and you need to be seen by the colleges, and they'll decide what level this kid can play. Because if you help them get exposure, right? You help them get exposure with Division I schools, you help them get exposure with FCS schools, and you help them get exposure to Division II schools, especially if they have the ability potentially to play college football in general. Okay. If you know that, hey, this kid is talented enough to be able to go college and play and get a scholarship to help pay for his education, to help relieve his parents of some of that burden, financial burden, that's what you should be focusing on. And so if that kid goes to some Division I camps and start getting attention from the Division I schools, he's a Division I player. Because the Division I coaches are not going to come, you know, um, looking at a kid if they've seen him in camp, they've seen some footage of him, okay, or her in whatever sport they're playing. If they're getting some attention from a Division I, they're a Division I prospect. If it's from FCS schools or lower Division I schools, then that's who they're getting. That's the level they potentially can play. And then you as a coach, sir or ma'am, need to, when the recruiters come around and say, "Hey, we would like to see this young lady play this position, or this young man play this position," because we feel like his skill set when we saw him at camp might lend to what you want to play, or might lend to another position that they think the young lady um, uh, trying to make sure my camera is straight. Um, Wants to play. So let the college coaches who have been, I'm not saying some of you high school coaches don't know anything, because you do know some things. I was a high school coach for almost 13 years, right? Um, and I played, in sports that I know, I played, was blessed to play at every level. And so I'm not going to say that some of you high school coaches aren't out there that don't know. That's when you just help, you sit down, you sit the young lady down or young man down and say, look, I think you have the skills to play college and to possibly get you a scholarship. So these are some things that you need to do. You should be encouraging them, right? Early, not late, early in their career. You know, when you get them in ninth grade, you need to be having them, you need to be telling your athletes, or when they're coming out of eighth grade, getting ready to come to your high school, and you have a meeting with them, you need to be encouraging parents and students to get to some camps so they can help their development. Because just cause a kid the way they look today, you don't know. We know there's, I know Anthony Davis. He was a guard, and all of a sudden he grew. He shot up in height, right? Sometimes that happened to kids, or sometimes some kids they didn't have it early on in their playing career, but before they leave you, all of a sudden something clicked for that young lady, or they start putting in work, or they got the camps, or parents pay for them to get some training, and now, and they're watching that sport more and watching that position more, and so now their development is now, taking off compared to what it was when you first got them. And like I said, some kids like Anthony Davis grew later in his years in high school, so he had to move from playing guard to playing forward or center. Same thing with Wimbenyama with the San Antonio Spurs. That David Robinson, that happened to him. Right, he went to go fly planes in the Air Force, or the Navy, I should say, and Navy has just as many planes as the Air Force, whether you know it or not. But that happened to David Robinson, right? So you got to sometimes not be so quick as high school coaches to try to tell a kid or determine for a kid what level he's gonna or she's gonna be able to play at. No, you help them develop, you know, because more than likely that young lady or that young man does probably have an opportunity or potential to go play college at some level, but you should be encouraging them to go to different camps so that it can help their development, right? Help them be more familiar with the sport, learn things from what the college coaches are going to be looking for, right? To help them put in the work that they need to put in to help them gain more exposure to get scholarships. So don't be so quick to try to be that coach that like that they can't play Division 1. You shouldn't do that. Help them develop. Start with your kids early, right? That's one thing I appreciated about Coach Davis back at Clearwater Central Catholic at CCC, where I started coaching under him. I learned a lot watching how he handled things, and he would meet with every football player and ask them what was their goal of why they wanted to play football. And he knew there were some kids that just hey they weren't trying to go to college, they weren't that good, but they just wanted to play football, and they could help you at the high school level because you need extra bodies, right? But he still would tell them, okay, I appreciate you wanting to play, and you just want to be around the guys, and you're willing to put work in. He would ask them, hey, is this your first time playing, or did you grow up playing little league football? And there were some that didn't play, and there were some that did. And he would encourage them, okay, make sure you get in the weight room. We have a weightlifting program. Make sure you get in there because we got to be sure we build you up physically so you don't get yourself out here and get hurt. Be sure you know that we got to. This is a game that's full speed, and you can't be out here not knowing what you're doing and moving around slow. Um, so he would just encourage the young men that we coach on our football program. And then there was some that you can look at him and tell, no, this kid can play ball, but let's develop. He may or may not go to college. I don't know, but it's up to that young man and that fan and his parents to determine, how serious are they about playing their sport, and do they have a desire to want to go to college and play? And some kids didn't, and some kids did. There's some kids that don't have a clue. They're just like, hey, coach, I'm just willing to learn, and if you think, you know, I have some potential, I just like to know what it is I need to do. Okay, and so he would try them out at different positions. Um, and if they were a good sized kid, you're definitely going to be on the offensive line or defensive line if you were a good sized kid to see how your skill set, went as far as helping us out. But he would meet with every young man that came through our football program and talk to them when they would come in as freshmen, right? To get a sense of, why they came out to play football, right? Now, granted, we knew we had some kids that's why they came, and they were that guy, right? They had that potential as long as they kept their grades straight and did the things that they needed to do and willing to learn and listen. A lot of those young men got scholarship opportunities. You know, Division 1, Division 2, FCS. We had a mix. Division 3, we had a mix of kids went all at all levels. Okay, and that's what it's about. You just do everything you can to encourage them, give them some advice, see how they develop under your tutelage, under your program, on your strength and conditioning program, and let's go from there and see how this young man works out. Let's see how this young lady works out. But that's what your job is, I believe, as a coach, and I know it is because that's what I saw from Coach Davis, who I coach with. Um, so, who was my example when I first started coaching, even when I was a player. I got to see him. I didn't get to play for Coach Davis, but I believe one of my older brothers did. My one older brother did. But at high school, I was a ball boy, him coach because I was a ball boy when I was in elementary and middle school. I had older siblings and cousins that were already at the high school before I got in high school, so I knew about that. I bled black and gold. Right, we looked like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the Iowa Hawkeyes, black and gold, black, white, and gold. I wasn't playing for anybody else but the Wood, Lakewood High School, right? And Coach Davis was that coach that was the consummate coach you would want to play for, right, in high school, because he was going to do everything he could to help his athletes, his players, fulfill their dream and get an opportunity if they were willing to work in to get a scholarship. He was going to do everything in his power to help that come true, and he did on many, many occasions for a lot of young men. Okay, and that to me, that's what a coach's job is. You help them figure it out, right? You give them the game plan on what they need to do to develop, to give themselves that opportunity to get that scholarship at whatever level it is. Okay, and so That's what we need to be doing for our young people. So you guys, you parents out there, you young athletes out there, you young ladies, you young boys out there, young men, you need to be um, putting your plan together, right? If you need help with that, Coach love the game 24/7 provides that service. You know, if there are any people on here watching on IG and you got questions on Facebook or YouTube, you got questions, go ahead and put something in in the comment section. You know, um, glad to um, have you. So if you got questions, feel free to ask. But this is what you need to be preparing for as we wind down the academic year, right? You parents out there, um, you need to um, start making your plans, start putting your camp money aside, right? It's tax time. It's tax time, and a lot of people are getting their refunds. So part of your refund plan should be, let me put some money aside to help my young person, my young lady, my young boy. Um, uh, Let me even invest in them to go to camps to start their recruiting, because it does not start when they get to high school, right? You got to you're late if you wait into high school. You're late. You're behind the eight ball. You got to get out in front of this thing, okay? For your young person who's serious. But like I said, now I've said it on many times. It has to be something that he or she wants to do. That your young person loves training and work and putting in work, and you don't have to always be the one telling them that they need to go do it. They just do it on their own because they just love it. Whatever sport or sports they play. Okay. But parents, get those tax returns, put some money aside for some camps, make those plans. Let's help your young person get some exposure. Okay. Help them learn what it means to compete. Let them see other kids who compete at a high level because they love the game just as much as well. You got to help give your kids a realistic view, all right, of what it's going to take to earn that scholarship. They're not just handing out scholarships, okay? And we can't let NIL things cloud our vision, okay? Um, let's not get too caught up in that. Let those things naturally come because of the work that's been put in, the time, the dedication, right? Be a person of integrity, you know, be that consummate teammate, all right? Parents, don't, let's make sure we're not driving coaches crazy. Coaches, be sure you have an open door to your parents, because parents really should be sitting down with you, coaches out there, telling you, having a discussion with you about what their plan is for their athlete. What their plans that they have for their young person. Okay, and then they should be hearing from you as a coach, what you as their coach, and what um, you're trying to build your program to be. So it has to be communication. And there are a lot of people out here that don't know how to communicate. We just have to be honest. A lot of times the reason why some of our young people fall, you know, to not making it a lot of times is because the adults who are in charge, who are the examples or supposed to be the examples, don't have it right. So adults got to get it right. Kids, our young people are relying on us to lead them and to guide them. That's our job as adults. And we have to learn how to communicate. If you're not a good communicator, find an assistant coach in your program, right? That's your communicator that knows how to communicate or willing to communicate, and then bring the information back to you. And then you make sure as a head coach um, that you're willing to listen. That it's not all about a dictatorship. I have never seen anybody have a lot of success who's a dictator. You might have a little bit of success. I'm not saying you won't have any, but you won't have what you could have. So things can't be a dictatorship. That stuff doesn't work. I'll tell parents real quick, you better run and leave a program if you have a coach, if he or she is not invested and bought into your um, your young person. That's for all parents at a program. Man, get out of there and get somewhere where they care about your kid, about every kid. and what their dreams and goals and desires are. We're supposed to help as adults. We're supposed to help our young people make it. Teach them how to work towards something and be realistic because everything is not going to be easy. They got to put in some work. If things are given to you all the time, you're not going to appreciate it. You're not going to be grateful. You're not going to be willing to put work in. And that stuff has happened. I've seen it. Right? There's too many politics and things going on sometimes in sports with young kids and parents with foolishness going on. You know, we have to cut that stuff out. We can't be doing those types of things. It's about trying to help grow and nurture these young people so they are great citizens. You know, because they'll be the ones taking care of us when we're old and decrepit. So we got to teach them integrity, right? Um, how to love your teammates. But coaches, you got to be examples. You young coaches or older coaches out there can't be dictatorship stuff, man. That stuff. It's been time out for that stuff a long time ago, right? So let's be sure we have healthy programs, right? Not just for your athletes, but even for the parents that are willing to allow their young person to play it in your program, right? So um, let's be sure that everybody's working towards the common goal of helping our young people be healthy, you know, mentally, physically, spiritually, and that they help grow the sport, whatever sport it is. Just like we see what's going on in women's basketball, women athletics in general. Okay, it's exciting to compete, and when competition over, let's go sit down and have some food and some drinks, and enjoy until the you know next event, the next game comes up. So coaches, let's do your part. Make sure you're meeting with your young people in your sport. Make sure you're encouraging them on how and what they need to do to develop to potentially those ones who desire to go to college and who have the skill set, right? Who are willing to put in the work and develop, that you guide them and you also help the parents. Now ultimately it's up to the parents. Parents, you can't leave everything up to coaches. And coaches, you need to understand that it's not your child. They can't. I'll never tell a parent to leave. I wish my dad was alive and was around when I was in high school. That would have shut down a lot of um, issues that I had to deal with as a young person dealing with an adult, with a coach who um, wasn't invested in his young people like he should have been when we were drawing that attention. You know, we still made it, but it was not because of our head coach in most cases in our at our program. It wasn't. I'm just going to be real with you, and it's sad. I don't like to say that, and I knew when I had my kids, I was going to put them in a program to where they, um, my son right now would tell you, both of my boys with coaches that they had in high school, even in little league in some cases, with some coaches that you're glad to go back and thank that coach or get with players and have reunions with your high school teammates and coaches that were part of your program. I never had that pleasure to be able to do that because we didn't have a coach where none of us really cared about if we ever saw him again. And to me, that's sad. And I didn't want my son to have the experience that. I wanted them to be in a place to where, hey man, we go back home. When you go back to Florida, or you're in Florida and you go back to your high school, man, it's like, man, I appreciate what coach did for a lot of us. All the players. I don't think I know of any player that we coach in my year where where those kids uh, wouldn't come back to see Coach Davis and appreciate how he pushed them, and all the coaches, even assistants. That's what it should be like. That's what, whether you're at the little league level, high school level, or college level, or pro level, it should always be to where, man, when your years and your time is over and done, we can all get together, man, and appreciate, get with our coaches and all that, man, and enjoy each other and talk about um, past games and memories and the fun, the good, the bad, all the crazy stuff, But we have reunions and we get together. That's what it's supposed to be like. Okay. Um, and so coaches, It's up to you to set that atmosphere, to set that tone. And parents, it's up to you to be sure you don't put your young person in an atmosphere that's not healthy, not conducive of in teaching them um, what real life is. With we got to cut out all the politics nonsense. Nonsense. If you can play, that kid needs to be on the field and play. And for the ones who aren't that good, we got to work with them and help them bring up their game. But they still deserve to be on the field playing at some point in time, right? Everybody who's putting in work, right? Who's dedicating themselves and showing up to workouts. They deserve to get on that field at some point in time. They may not be starters because everybody can't start. And some people aren't developed enough yet to be out there starting. So, but they deserve to get some time on the field. Okay. And they deserve to continue to be well coached and developed if they want to be. Right. So that's what it's all about. So let's coaches develop. Okay. Parents, do your part. Okay. Be that parent that is going to help um, the success of a program. Right. And the experience for our young people was a good experience. Not that my parent is out here acting, you know, crazy or whatever the case, whatever it is we want to say. They're not healthy. We got to cut that stuff out. We want our young people to have great experiences in their pursuit in their participation in their sport. It needs to be fun, okay, as much as possible. I know things can happen, but some of those things happen too often. Some of those negative things happen too often sometimes in some programs or in some places. I heard Coach Derek Tatum talking about something recently with the 7-on-7 and how that atmosphere is like totally changed. It's like kids are just out there for show. 7-on-7 is not a realistic um, view of what um, tackle football is. It's a good viewpoint of what flag football or two-hand touch football we used to play. You know, there are some things that you can take from it. Okay, it's not realistic for a quarterback because a quarterback in flag football is not really getting that pressure to worry about getting hit or getting tackled. Okay, so that's why you got to do some things quick when you're doing 7-on-7. You got to do it quick and try to make it as realistic as possible. But it's not realistic. But you got to try to make it as realistic. There's some good things about it. But Coach Tatum shared about how some of you kids are on social media and you're trash talking, you're doing all this, and it was 7-on-7 was started because I was big on 7-on-7 when my kids were coming through high school sports, and we did it. We would get and play against other high school teams, or the colleges would have competition at the camps. Part of that would be where they encourage coaches to bring their kids to the university, to the college football teams in the area, and even if some teams came from out of state, but it was for coaches to be able to put their eyes on some kids, right, and to see some good, healthy competition because you can get some idea of where a kid's development is or love for the game is for him or her. You can do that you know like this with AAU and all this stuff, but we have to keep it you know where it is. It's a development process. They're not pros. Okay, they're not pros. So we have to keep things realistic. We have to keep things for our young people, keep it for what it is. Okay, and let's have some healthy development and healthy growth in the sport. So if they do get the opportunity to make it at another level, college level and pro level, that the game is still great to watch and enjoyable. Okay. I know things can happen and we have to keep the, you know, game clean, but people, you want hard, you want to play fast, you want to play tough, right? And you should, but we don't play dirty, right? Coaches should never be doing that. I know there's some coaches who've done that, even when I coach, where coaches are trying to hurt players and all that stuff. If you happen to get hurt because you played the game the way it's supposed to be played, we know things can happen. That's different. But when you go out there and you tell some kids, oh, yeah, we need to hurt that kid, that's wrong. That's not what we teach. No, teach a kid, a young person, young lady, young man to go out there and play hard and play tough and play clean, but play it hard within the rules and the guidelines. Right? That's when it's more enjoyable. And that's when you'll appreciate your success by playing the sport the way it's supposed to be played within the rules for our young lady and our young men. So let's be the examples, adults. Let's be adults, okay? And let's help our young people fulfill their dream or goal of trying to get to the next level in playing college and getting their education. And if they happen to get opportunities to get some NIL, that's great because NIL, everybody's not going to, is not the top player or the big name. Eventually you might be. It's possible, you know, but the goal should be let's get this scholarship opportunity to pay for my education. All right. And then once we do that, hey, let me put some work in, see where I fit in, see where I can help bring some success to this program, and then I'll let the rest happen, naturally happen, because it will. All right. So that's my take on some things. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening with who's going to make the championship with these games coming up for the women's NCAA tournament and the men's NCAA tournament in basketball. It's exciting. And then, of course, I always peek over at baseball and softball to see how those seasons are going. And track and field, man, yes, sir. Outdoor season is in full effect with track and field in college. Looking forward to that. Um, and like I said, we got, baseball, softball, track and field. We got basketball winding down. And then, as we wind down the seasons with these remaining college sports, it's going to be time for you middle and high school kids to get in camp somewhere and make up your mind about um, where you're going to go and gain some exposure. Okay. So be sure you're putting that time in. Get on the websites, fill out those questionnaires. So when you walk up to a campus that you planned on going to camp, they already know and looking for you. They already have your information in their database, right? And then they'll be able to grade you and start, uh, you know, um, letting you know what they thought. And be sure never leave a camp without talking to the position coach. I don't care if you're male or female. Never leave a camp without talking to the coaches, assistant coaches, or head coach, because they're ready to give you some input, right? Because they got not just them, but they're watching and they want to give you some input. And these coaches are taking a little bit of notes. They have their assistants. They talk to each other when they take breaks. They're talking about who they see and what they see about this young man or this young lady. So just be sure you always go up and shake somebody's hand and tell them thank you for having the camp and you appreciate them taking the time out to give you some advice or whatever the case, or coaching you up, and just let them know, hey, you're gonna be in touch. You're gonna follow them and on their social media, and they'll follow you. And always make sure you rep your school colors and uniform, so people get familiar with who you are and where you're from. Always rep your school gear, your high school gear, your middle school gear. Okay. Um, but that's part of what you guys need to be getting ready to plan for as we get closer to the summer, and get to these camps so you guys can help promote and market yourselves for these scholarship opportunities. Okay. But also let's be realistic. But let's get in that weight room. Let's get on, whatever work you need to do in your sport, you know, soccer, whatever it is, swimming, get in the pool, diving, I don't care what it is. Golf. Um, I know I'll be out there this weekend because the weather's nice. I'll be out there at the driving range putting my time in, trying to get better as a golfer. But I appreciate you guys joining Coach Smith. Like I said, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me on IG. I love the game 24/7. Um, and be sure, here on Facebook as well. But be sure you share this information with those you love and know that you feel that may be a prospect in middle school and high school in their sport. Some young lady, some young boy, some young man, right? um, that have the skill set in their sport and they need some help with their recruiting, let them know that Coach Smith of Love the Game 24/7 is out here. He has that service available to you parents and young athletes out there to help you with your recruiting process. So I appreciate it. Follow me on TikTok as well. Love the Game 24/7. Go out there and see some of my past videos and video shorts and all those different things and get you some good information. I'll be putting out some shorts of this live from tonight. But it's good to be back doing some live since I took a little time off to go visit my son in Texas and the grandkids. But definitely go out there on my TikTok and check out some of that as well. But my grandson has a huge following, um, and my son, of course, being a pro athlete, he's getting ready to head to OTAs because we'll be close to the NFL season starting back. I'm glad to see some of the UFL going right now as well, with the XFL and USFL merging together and doing their thing for spring football. And so it's exciting to watch some of that as well. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great evening. Um, Remember, Wednesday nights 6:30 Eastern time, Saturday mornings 11:30 Eastern time. So I look forward to seeing you, and we'll be back live again, like I said, on Saturday, back doing this thing. And if you uh, need some help, be sure to look up Love the Game 24/7 and Coach Smith. You guys have a blessed evening. Take care. Until next time.